So Olga Maslikhova, welcome to the World Wealth Creation Conference 2017 here in Singapore.
Thank you.
So how are you finding it so far?
Well, it's very interesting, and obviously, location people, everything is very well organized.
Yes. Have you had a chance to mix and mingle and see all the speakers?
Well, I saw some of the speakers, and
Yes.
that's quite impressive list.
Yeah, absolutely. Any speakers that have really stood out to you that have been quite impressive?
Yeah, agree. Oh, who are the speakers?
Yeah.
Gosh, the headliner, 5 p.m. on
Okay, Jim Rogers?
Jim Rogers. I
Yeah.
think he was the best.
Yeah, hilarious,
I
right?
personally come just to see him.
Yeah, I think so. Jim Rogers, Ron Kaufman, Brian Tracy, amongst many others, they're all stars, right?
But I remember I've been to some Russia-Singapore business forum a while ago, and then a couple more forums organized by International Enterprise, and he was the speaker.
Yeah.
Jim Rogers, yeah.
Right. And have you been going to the Marina Bay Sands events as well?
I've been there yesterday, yes.
Yeah. And how was that?
They did serve good wine and good view of the city.
It is a fantastic view there, isn't it?
It's just, yeah, it's the best.
I quite like the infinity pool, and but having said that, I'm also scared of heights, so I'm sort of a love-hate with that one.
Yeah, I think it's probably one of the most famous place on all pictures related to Singapore in my Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're a venture capitalist and responsible for FizTech Ventures. So how did that come about, and tell me about it?
FizTech Ventures is, so we call it early stage cross-border venture capital firm that's basically targeting deep tech companies across various industries, but the area of my expertise and my interest is enterprise IoT, autonomous systems, everything related to shared mobility, transportation. We do smart city tech, but in relates to transportation. And apparently it's been, we set it up as a spin-out from some other VC firm, which grew larger in terms of their investment check and in terms of total assets under management. So we thought that we just can't fit early stage and the growth stage startups under the same roof. And the team should be different, and expertise should be different, and basically the scope of responsibilities is different. So we just spin it out. And considering that I've been personally coming to Singapore from 2010, I think, and being native to emerging markets, seeing opportunity in other emerging markets in the region, we thought that building a business that would basically fund international companies and help them to scale to Southeast Asia through setting up business in Singapore initially is the right strategy for international early stage VC.
Yeah, absolutely. Singapore is largely considered to be a bit of a hub for Southeast Asia, and so obviously, yeah, absolutely.
And it's so convenient. I mean, it's so great. I mean, to live here, it's probably, I don't know any other city like this anywhere in the region.
Well, I've lived here 8 years, and I absolutely love Singapore. It's fantastic. A small country in size, but mighty in terms of its opportunities.
Yeah, totally. And I read all books of Lee Kuan Yew, and the way he built this country and the way it is right now, the way it keeps on thriving, even after he's gone, it's just impressive.
Yeah, absolutely. And in terms of the emerging markets in the region, are there any particular areas, hotspots you think are worth noting going forward for the next 5 or 10 years?
Shared mobility across most of the countries in the region. Can be, Indonesia, Malaysia are huge. Even Philippines are big. Singapore, obviously, it's small in terms of territory, but it's large in terms of the value of ecosystem, which is 11 billion, vs 4.1 billion globally. So just nothing even closely matching Singapore. And all these latest restrictions like car ownership restrictions and in general encouraging people using public transportation and shared mobility services, it just gives enormous opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're hitting it nail on the head there. Singapore is a very small country, therefore it has to limit to a certain extent its number of cars, and it is actually introducing legislation for that. So that area of investment has got to be a good one to go into.
Yeah, I think that's the area. Another area is cybersecurity. Obviously, the opportunity for operational businesses, e-commerce, and so on and so forth is huge and massive, and there's a number of successful use cases. But I think the whole deep tech thing is starting to emerge in here, and has enormous interest from international players. And I think it will initially start to kick off really soon.
Fantastic. And so, what would you say about this other form of investing, alternative to traditional venture capitalists and angel investors, the ICO, the initial coin offering? Do you have an opinion about this?
I don't have firm positive opinion about this because it's clearly not my area of expertise, and neither of our companies do ICOs because apart from funding, most of the companies they seek for some other type of leverage coming from people they invest in, and most of high-tech companies they basically build fundraising as a part of their global business development strategy. And if you want to raise funding from larger VCs, respectful VCs, trustful VCs, especially if you do business in such sensitive areas as cybersecurity, you clearly want to know who your investors are in the first place. And second thing, I think it's sort of hype, and nobody really understands how things will work out with those ICOs companies, because it's like Kickstarter, but with lesser feasibility, in my opinion.
Yes, there's certainly a lot of that as well. It's hyped by the rise in the cryptocurrency, Bitcoin type prices going through the roof. So it all looks like it's all gold, right? Free gold.
It's probably still not the limit.
Yeah, not by a long way, maybe. So we'll see. You've backed 24 companies, I believe, with your organization, your VC. And what would you say are the key things that you look out for before making an investment in a startup organization?
I'd say that the only key factor is the personality of the founder and his ability to listen to advice without losing his authority and his control over the process. And the other thing is probably the vision, understanding where the opportunity for success is, meaning that you don't necessarily go after the markets or verticals that are already clear and have successful use cases, because the valuation of such companies it's going to be fairly low. If you're going to be like 30th company in e-commerce, or I don't know, 40th company in ride sharing. But if you are looking for an option if you are looking on some current larger markets problem, and see it as an opportunity and build something that's hard to replicate and build it with the right team. And you know how to build the team as well. And understand how and when to attract the funding and what to do with this funding, then it's just like a perfect match.
Do you have a particular strategy you prefer to use, such as looking to build companies for long term, or do you look for when is the exit, maybe in 5 years' time?
I'll exit early stage exit is such a hardly forecasted thing. You can't expect anything. I mean, it's like looking at financial model of the company that's just been incorporated. Like evaluating their potential financial performance in 5 years, it wouldn't really add any clarity to the process, to the team, to anything. We're looking at market opportunities. We are looking at things from the perspective of the network that we have, meaning that I personally spend enormous amount of time working with strategics, dealing with them, understanding what they're looking for, understanding the problems they face, and then we just sort of tailor our pipeline and later portfolio in accordance with the problems we see on the markets.
Fantastic. So if someone wants to talk to your organization about VC, how do they contact you?
Unfortunately, we mostly invest in companies that are referred to us either by our trusted partners or by entrepreneurs in whom we've previously invested.
So it's the word of mouth that is going so well.
Yeah, in our industries, it is because it's sort of it's kind of close community of people doing those kind of things, and you pretty much know who's doing what. In our case, we work a lot with universities or some of our entrepreneurs who build businesses. They became serial entrepreneurs, respectful people. They got a lot of requests from startups, and they just refer those companies to us. So it's sort of we've managed in like almost 5 years. We've managed to build sort of supply chain and rather good quality supply chain across different markets. So right now we're working on building like the automated process of scaling those businesses here. That's our sort of goal.
Wow. So you've achieved so much. Would you say there's one or two things you could identify at the early stage of your career where you have led you to such success?
Working long hours, I think. And there's no such thing as like personal work-life balance. So if you really want to do something in that kind of industry, you should just forget about it.
Yeah, no, as an entrepreneur and startup myself, it's like, well, 24/7, you got to love it.
Yeah, something like this. And you should do it with pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely,
Or else
absolutely.
it just would be a setup for failure in that
Yes.
kind of business.
Okay, Olga, thank you very much for your time today. I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thank you. Thank you very much.